American Idol.
Yeah, I was. I was
were
on American Idol.
You did really good in it.
Fairly
Recently.
You could argue that it went well. Yes,
And
it was crazy.
Yeah, I'm sure it was crazy, and I just want to know what that was like to be in that sort of like do or die over and over kind of thing. I'm sure it was wonderful, and also just like, oh my god, I didn't get into this for that.
Yes, dude. And how much time do we have?
Well, just
for the
whatever.
rest?
As long as you're interesting, we can just.
I
roll.
mean, whatever, man. Man, American Idol. Yeah, so I was on the show in 2019, the season before the COVID season. I know not many people watch it nowadays. Like, it's not as big as it used to be. I certainly watched it a lot when I was a kid, and I loved it when I was a kid. And I never thought that I was gonna do the show. They casted me onto the show via Instagram, which I don't know if many people are aware that happens most of the time. Out of the top 20 my season, 18 of us were casted, and 2 actually went through open call.
Wow, I feel like that's a scandalous thing you just disclosed.
Yeah,
so
well,
all those long lines of kids waiting around.
Yeah.
There's like very few.
Okay. The judges, the TV judges, actually see about 15 people a day, and the big massive crowds go through like producers and then other producers and then executive producers, and then they make it to the TV round. So it's weird. But
so did you have to play for the judges like that in the prerequisite forms?
I got to skip the first 2 like pre-taped rounds. There were 3 pre-taped rounds my season, and then the judges. So I went straight to the round right before the televised stuff, the recorded stuff. Which was great. It was nice to skip all that, and then I made it to the judges right after that.
Did you do a cover?
I did.
Yeah.
Because they were always like, doing original music is super bold and only do it if you're extremely brave, and I wasn't. This was a time in my life when I only was doing things that I knew I could crush, right? This was still happening. This was like college, and I'm still
Perfect time for such a moment.
such a moment. This was an attempt at saying yes to something that I was uncertain about. This was me trying to do something that I didn't know if I would crush or not. And yeah, the whole experience was, we can talk about more of the little details if you want, but the whole experience was like both some of the coolest, best things I've ever done, and very much also like some of the worst stuff that's ever happened to me. I had a lot going on in my personal life. I had a friend that had just passed away from my childhood. I was having a tough time in the relationship I was in. I was deconstructing my faith, and I had just left home for college. All this stuff was happening, and then it was like, we're gonna put you on stage in front of 10 million people once a week for a couple months, and then see what happens.
Until you die.
And then we're not gonna do anything to help you out at
Afterwards.
all, or like prep you for what it's gonna feel like after. No, there was none of that. I think that the reality TV world is very they take advantage of people.
A bit predatory.
Yeah, man, like really so. There were people on my season that they were under 18, so their parent had to come, and their parent like quit their job because they had to be there, but the producers were like, well, this is their big break. This is going to make them hugely famous. And they believed them, and they quit their job, and then they like never even got aired on TV a single time. It's like, all right, it's just a lot of luck. People are always like, it's so awesome that you went so far, and I'm like, I think it is a lot of it is skill, but so much is also luck. I fit a box of like the quirky boy next door thing that I have embraced. I do like that. I think that's who I am. But I
seem on brand.
Yeah, but I fit that box that they needed for that season. Man, it's just like so much to even talk about. So
yeah, I don't.
It's just a lot.
Make it traumatic. Or
no.
anything.
It's just, I mean, quantity wise, like I don't even know
how long was it of an experience?
It was almost a full year. It started in the summer of 2018 and aired in the spring of 2019. It was done about May.
And it pre-tapes, so your fate, and you have to like not sign. You sign an NDA, so you don't say anything. Yeah. But so making it to the 8th, and like then they're like, okay, it's not you, and then you step off stage, and then it's just like crickets.
Okay, great. Let's talk about this.
There's cobwebs.
So I didn't make it, and every person in my entire life just saw me get told. The way my brain took it was, all of America just told you that you aren't good enough.
Totally.
which was awful. And I know that's not what it actually was, but it like certainly felt that way. They take you off the stage.
Wait, set it up just a little bit more. So I can't remember what they do.
So I'm
standing
there.
Is it like you're standing next to the guy and one of you is going to advance?
I'm standing next to Ryan Seacrest. He's right here. And next to me is two other people, and one of us is making it through and two of us are out. And I see his card in his hand because he's like holding it right here. He seems like he should know not to do that, so I kind of feel like he was showing me like so I could prep myself. I don't really know. But he's standing there and he's holding the card, and I could see that it doesn't say my name.
It has one name on it.
It has one name, and it's not mine, so I know I'm out. And he says the other guy's name, and I like, I'm like, oh, crap, oh, no. And I, a little bit of acting, but it was also definitely like still very shocking. And not because I thought I was going through. It was just like 6 months of feeling like I was being chased by a bear suddenly over. And then they, so I'm out, the credits roll, the judges have an opportunity to save me. They don't. And so I go, I walk off stage, and then like I'm just whirling. My brain is like,
I can only imagine.
What is happening?
Yeah.
They walk me off stage and straight to a counselor. This was the only time that I ever was like, that was a good idea. Thank you, American Idol. That was the only time I felt that way. They took us straight to a counselor, and like me and Alyssa, who was the other person who got out that night, and we got to like, talk through our feelings for like 15 minutes with a counselor, and then they came and grabbed us and put us in front of the press line. And I'm like, I got like red eyes, like I've been crying up in that room. And I'm just like talking to E! News and Billboard magazine and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and Radio Disney. And I'm like, and they're like, how you doing? Like, none of them want to talk to me because they're like so uncomfortable. And I'm like, I'm fine. How are you doing? And I just, oh my gosh, one of the worst memories there is I saw, like, I'm standing talking to the guy from Billboard, who was probably one of my better friends in the press line, and it was my last interview, and I see my mom like come around the corner, and I was just like break down. But I had to do a lot of like putting a cap on that to get through whatever moment I was experiencing in the immediate moment. Yeah, which honestly messed up my emotional capacity for like 2 years. In a really bad way. But
it was hard to put that away when the show was over.
Yeah, like there were a couple moments like that where I had to physically flip the switch of like can't feel, which goes very against who I am as a person. And I couldn't figure out how to flip it back on after the show for like literally 2 years. I didn't cry for like 2 years, which again, very not me. I'm like a cry during commercials kind of guy. And I'm back there now after 5 years and many different therapists. Yeah.
What do you think was the best experience? Best part of that experience?
That's a great question. My sister lived in Hawaii. I have a twin sister, which is cool. She went to University of Hawaii because my aunt lived out there, and she was out there the whole time while I was doing the show. And she never got to fly in and see any of the auditions or any of the next rounds. Hollywood Week, she wasn't there for any of it. Right after Hollywood Week, though, they surprised us that the next round, cutting from top 40 to top 20, was in Hawaii. We were staying at like the Disney resort there, and it was all expenses paid and blah blah blah. And so I think that moment was probably my favorite because she would get to be there, and it like. Yeah, I just am close with my sister, and feeling for the first time like I could just enjoy the ride and enjoy being there a bit. Yeah.
And so you said that when you were dead to them, you were truly, and they were done with you. But was there? I remember one other thing about the bio that I read was that you played with Bobby Bones on his tour as his pianist. Did that come out of that, or was that something?
Bobby was a mentor on the show, like a full-time mentor. He has some very devoted fans. He's amazing. He's
great.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. I don't know him personally, but like the appearances are cool, and he's very likable.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got he's got this fan base that is just so loyal to him. So like whenever he shows up on something, he, you know, the ratings go crazy. And so they invited him to be a full-time mentor for the show. So he would always just kind of be backstage hanging out with us. And I honestly didn't know who he was at the time. And we just got chatting and we became buddies. And then after I got cut, like week or two after, I was back home in Birmingham feeling miserable. And he called and was like, hey, do you want to come play piano for me on my tour? And you can play a couple of your songs. And I was not a very good piano player, but I wasn't going to tell him that. And I was like, yes, I'm in. And so I practice. And then I got to go on a tour for the fall with him. And I've been playing for him ever since. He doesn't do as much music stuff anymore, but...
Hey, thanks for watching. Go ahead and click here to like and subscribe. You can click right there to watch another video, or click here to watch a playlist featuring songs of the Morse Code Podcast. Okay, thank you very much.